sited on the footprint of Safeco Field, and in our night game season, and we were trying for another. We have had, as you may already know, no playoff experiences. We were also trying for that. It was a long outdoor regular season. Games for our Yankee friends and for all the other team in our side. I-90 East End is Logan Airport in Boston, which I think I previously mentioned. If you're flying nonstop to SeaTac or to the closer Boeing field, it would be about $5.5. That's why we use that time for the story. But in any event, if you're parked at the west end, you're parked beside Edgar Martinez Drive, the last 2 blocks. You go slightly over 3,000 driving miles to the east of Logan Airport. You've got Ted Williams Tunnel and another tunnel or two that also points you in the direction of downtown Boston. But it is nice to be parked in Edgar Martinez. And when he's inducted into the Hall of Fame, we will have, no doubt, even if the fans have to pay for it, there will be a bronze statue out there. He's a right-handed hitter, so it will be a right-handed Edgar Martinez Drive. You can insert a picture of that. Well, let's take a look here first. Since Camden Yards in Baltimore, the Whiskey in Chicago, and those that followed were put up. And I think we were about number 5 in that time. But in any event, all of them had something like this diamond club, as we call it here. There are 8 rows of fully cushioned seats between the 2 dugouts and directly behind home plate for the most part, and they are most exclusive open-air seats, with the possible exception of the outside portions of some of the luxury suites above. Now, if you are here, you are probably here, in most cases, at no cost to yourself, even though all but 2 to 4% of those tickets are in the hands of season ticket holders. Many are businesses, both national and transnational, and they invite guests at no cost to those guests from anywhere in the world. Many of the families that control a block or so of seats would be professional as well, and they would be using them as a tax write-off. It might seldom be in those seats themselves. Closer to outside in a few moments. person that's gonna turn it around.
We're changing the name of the team
That's the first thing to
to
do.
the
yeah.
Seattle Mets. We're gonna have 2 teams on both coasts, okay? And that increases our chances of winning the World Series by 100%.
I have a point there because the Seattle Metropolitans were the first team in 1917 to win the Stanley Cup. It was a sport,
Is that right?
that shouldn't matter, should it? By the way, we have a standing room crowd today. There's only 39 of them on this side. And these 4 are for clubhouse attendance. On our side, that's a separate room. I might add that our rugging looks exactly like the rugging on the floor of the U.S. Senate, except for one interesting difference. The U.S. Senate would have a fleur de lis. It'll set here and here and here. We have the compass rose, but it's the same spacing. I don't know if it's the same rug, but certainly the same color, about the same depth. This is the first player. If he's a catcher, he automatically gets 2 lockers. Let's say Joe Mauer of the Twins before he was injured. And you try to get the best known players that are willing to be accessible to the press. Not every player is, if he has the seniority to be behind the traditional invisible line. I'll show you where the line is in a moment. But if you're willing, like say Cal Ripken Jr., to be an ambassador for the sport and your team, well, you're probably here, assuming you're successful enough and senior enough to be well known. And if you're a catcher, you automatically get 2 lockers, simply because these are smaller than the locker and are first. He would have 4 MVPs now because he only needed 2 of those 3 votes to be the youngest MVP still, somewhat younger than Mike Trout at the age of 23 who won this last year and should have. Who's going to get it this year, or have you decided? So this works out very nicely for both Mariners and for Mickey. That's the Safeco suite. They bought the naming rights that become available again in 2018. I'm thinking Starbucks. Because I'd love to be able to say that we were walking through at this very moment Starbucks grounds. Do you think they could resist the temptation? Too bad Mr. Schultz is, oops. Suites, but 2, and this is one of the 2 rooms that's the exception, would have a Hall of Famer gracing its outside and reproduction jersey, reproduction of the flag of Cooperstown, and baseball memorabilia from the collection of the gentleman that has one of the grand collections in the United States of each privately owned. But he truly is a baseball fan, and that makes it rather nice. And he seldom, if ever, or if often, in this suite. Here, everything is free for the 16 minority owners, but anywhere else they pay. And he wants to be closer to the action, even though he may not be there for everything. He's there very frequently. Perhaps not as busy now as he was when we were here. lease perhaps, even if it's a quarter season and half season. But originally it was 3, 5, and 8, with the Safeco Suite being the best deal, 20 years naming rights. Microsoft Suite is 2 doors down, that's Willie Mays. Number 24. And 24 is worn by Ken Griffey Jr. in part because Willie is his godfather.
Yep.
I believe he's the godfather of Barry Bonds too. We should have had him on our.
You leave your laptop alone because it may deflect the baseball. And if you can get head beneath the counter in a second or even a second and a half, you may be all right. If not, this sort of thing happens. This is a baseball compressing the cluster board directly over a stud and bouncing back. If it had come in here, it would have drilled a perfectly round hole and then hopefully stopped by a second layer about 5 inches in behind. This panel is hit 6 to 10 times a season. It's repaired in the wheel trip that follows. The panels at the far end less frequency because there are less left-handed batteries and the ball does tend to go outside. The safest place to be, although it's dangerous in a different way because you're not paying as much attention, directly behind home plate. It's hard to square up the ball and send it straight back. Windows are always open at game time because we don't want your view to be obscured. Apparently the architects weren't the least concerned about the safety of